What's going on, college football degens? I am back with another one today, a little different than normal as I usually am just going through ability tests. But today I want to put out my college football 27, maybe even 28 wish list here. All right, so the biggest thing on my list, and honestly, this is what ties everything together. We need more immersion. And the way to do it is what I'm going to call the campus. Right now, Dynasty feels like you're just clicking through menus. You're playing games back to back. There's nothing really in between that makes you actually care about your program. There's no connection to the team, the players, or the school itself. So instead of everything being menu-based, imagine this. The campus becomes your central hub. This is where everything outside of the games happens. Recruiting, development, relationships, progression, it all lives here. And instead of just clicking tabs, you're actually moving through it. You're walking around as your coach, going from building to building, seeing your program in real time. And the best part of all of this is optional. So there are still the menu-based tabs that you can quickly do things because I get it. Not everybody has tons and tons and tons of time. But if you want the more in-depth experience, this is where the campus lives. So you can actually walk into your trophy room and now see what you actually built. National championships, conference titles, awards. It gives your dynasty a sense of history. It's not just numbers on a screen anymore. It's something you can actually look at. Then you head over to the weight room. You see your players working out. Some guys are in there grinding and some guys are not. Maybe that ties into their personality traits, and maybe more disciplined players show up more often and get small boosts for the next game. Same thing with the film room. You've got players studying, preparing, and developing. Progression could all tie into this, and it feels alive, not just automatic at the end of the season. Then you go out to the practice field. This is where, in my opinion, it would start to matter a little bit more. You're not just setting practice and simming it, you're watching over it. You can see the drills happen, see who's performing, and see who's struggling. You identify who's standing out that week, and maybe through that, you give them more playing time yourself. On top of that, you control how practice is run. You want to go full pads? Go for it. You want to keep it light with just shells? You can do that too. You want to run ones versus ones? Or maybe even mix it up and go with the iron sharpens iron, 1 versus 2s. But it all is dependent on what you want to do. Maybe your team is more tired going into the game because you pushed them too hard, you ran full pads, 1v1s. Or maybe they're fresh but not as sharp. Maybe morale is high because practice went well. Now practice actually matters. It's not something you just want to skip through. Then let's get into the player interactions here. Not cutscenes, just natural moments. A player comes up to you and says, "Coach, I want more playing time. What do I need to do?" And you have to respond to him. You can encourage him, challenge him, or even shut him down. And whatever you say affects that player, his motivation, his trust in you, and even team chemistry, and maybe even the transfer portal in the future. Now you're not just managing ratings and names on a screen. You're managing people that actually you're getting a connection with. From there, you go into your office, and that becomes your command center. That's where you handle your recruiting board, your staff decisions, your NIL budget, everything on the bigger picture side. But it feels like everything's connected because you just came from seeing your team, your players, and your program. And even NIL ties into this. Booster influence, funding, all of that can be connected to what's happening on your campus. You win games, you build momentum, you get more resources, and that feeds right back into the recruiting and development side. Now, same thing with your stadium. As your program grows, your stadium should grow with it. Your environment should change. If you build a powerhouse, it should look and feel like one as you walk around the campus. And how you spend your money should matter. If you want to invest everything in your stadium, you can do that. If you want to balance everything out, you can do that as well. And this would be huge for recruiting because now when recruits visit your school, they're actually seeing the campus that you've built. Your facilities, your atmosphere, your success. It all is right in front of them. Recruiting becomes visual and not just letter grades. And the key to all of this is everything connects. Practice affects performance. Performance affects NIL. NIL affects recruiting. Recruiting affects your program. It all feeds into each other. Now, here's the big one. Here's the big moment, in my opinion. What if this campus didn't just exist for Dynasty? What if it connected to Road to Glory? Think about this. Road to Glory players could actually visit random user controlled dynasties. They're not just picking off a school from a list, they're experiencing real campuses that other players have built. They're seeing facilities, atmosphere, everything. And when that player commits, they go into that dynasty. Their player, their Road to Glory player, is one of your generated recruits. Now, once they commit, though, it just becomes a generated player that's no longer user controlled. And on the flip side, for that Road to Glory player, once they commit, their coach and that university goes back to being a computer. But all modes connect and stay separate at the same time. You bring both worlds together for that one recruiting moment, then they branch back out. That would completely change how both modes feel. And honestly, if they added something like this, I don't know if Dynasty would just feel like Dynasty mode anymore. It might actually feel like a real college football experience. All right, moving away from the campus idea, let's dive a little bit deeper in. So, my first thing I want to talk about is the coaching carousel. Right now, it just doesn't make sense. There's zero chance Kirby Smart is leaving Georgia to go be an offensive coordinator at Coastal Carolina. It completely kills the immersion, and honestly, in online dynasties, it kills the fairness too. So instead of just being random, let's actually control it. Let us reach out to coaches and attempt to hire who we want. Now, if you're Kent State and you're trying to go get a top tier coach, that chance should be extremely low, maybe even none. But at least let me try. Now, give me a limited amount of attempts, 5 or 6 phone calls, so I have to make them a little bit more strategic. If I swing too high and miss, my prestige as a coach should take a hit. Now, I would look like a coach that just doesn't know what he's doing if I'm at Kent State and I'm going after Kirby Smart. On the flip side, let me apply for jobs too. Let me go after every opening out there. Then give us interviews. Ask me questions based on scheme, philosophy, what I want to run. If it matches what they're doing, I get a boost. But if I don't have the resume, I still might not get hired. Now we're earning jobs and we're not just clicking accept on them. Moving into NIL. I don't like it. You probably don't like it. Coaches don't like it. But it's unfortunately a part of college football at the moment. And if it's not in the game, it's just not realistic. No 5-star prospect out there is picking Kent State over Georgia because they live closer to Kent State. It's not happening anymore. Worst case scenario, that kid's going to go to Ohio State and make $5 million a year. So we need to implement this. We're going to need a budget on this one. And it's going to be tied to your team prestige for the most part. Now, there should be different incentives for boosters that can increase that budget temporarily. Now, let me control my entire budget. If I am Kent State and I want to go and spend all my NIL on one running back, let me do it. That's my decision. But at the same time, not every player should cost money. 4 and 5 stars? Sure, I got it. But don't make me pay NIL for a 3-star center or a kicker. That's just not realistic either. And we have to tie this into performance. If you're having a great season, your NIL budget increases. More money, more opportunities, more players interested. If you have a bad season, that money drops. Boosters pull back, players leave, and now the transfer portal is really hitting you hard. Every season actually matters beyond just your record. All right, my next wish here is commissioner powers. This one's more for online dynasties, but it's needed in my opinion. Commissioners need more control. If someone breaks a rule, let the commissioner actually enforce sanctions or penalties that the game recognizes. Give me scholarship limits, roster restrictions, and even NIL adjustments. Because right now, everything is just based on trust, and that only really works if everyone follows the rules. Give commissioners a tool to actually manage the league a little bit more and keep it fair. Now, at the same time, there needs to be a change log implemented that anytime any player at all makes a change, everybody can see it. You could see edited players, you could see NIL adjustments, or even sanctions that were put out. Now, in recruiting overall to me is not bad, but I think it could just need a little bit more exciting. First off, quality of life stuff. Let me actually fully scout a player with just one click. Let me offer scholarships to all players on my board all at once. There's no reason that it needs to be 5 clicks to fully scout a player, and then every single player needs a click to offer this scholarship to. But really, the biggest thing in my opinion with recruiting, we need more randomness. Not every class should feel the same. Every once in a while, give us a true generational player, someone that stands out whether you get him or not. I'm not asking for Tim Tebow or Cam Newton every single recruiting cycle, but there really should be that true generational player every once in a while. Now, also, we need to change the commitment process. Make it feel like a moment. If the recruiting battle is close, just don't show me the bar filling up so we can look at it and go, I think I got this guy. Maybe the last 30-40%, it just disappears. And there's an actual reveal, a commitment video or something generated with that recruit putting a hat on or opening up his sweatshirt to show you the shirt that he's wearing of your school underneath. More of attention and more of a payoff. All right, player progression, guys. Now, that's what this channel is all about. It's all about abilities, really. So this one matters to me. Right now, every archetype feels the same. If you've seen one contact seeker, you have seen them all. So here's the fix. A wild card ability. Each player has their core abilities tied to their archetype. You got 4 abilities, or maybe even 5. We could even tie it into dev trait where a star has 4 abilities, elite has 5 abilities, and then they both have wild cards. That wild card could be any offensive ability. Now, some are going to be super good, right? So you're going to have a contact seeker that also gets shifty. Then you're going to get a contact seeker that has second level, and you're going to be a little disappointed. But that player is still going to feel much different than the one with the wild card of shifty. Or maybe you even make it a percentage chance, right? So if it's a running back, you have a 70-80% chance to get a wild card ability from the running back tier, but you could still also get any offensive ability. The variety that would come with that, the unique builds, you would actually start to feel like there's a true difference on every team that you develop. Now, university improvements, like we were talking about earlier with the campus, I think this is a big one. If you take Kent State, and I'm really not trying to bash on Kent State alum here, but if you take them to 9 national championships, the program's got to feel different. It cannot feel the same as year 1, but 5 stars on the program instead of 3 and 2 stars. We need a system where you can invest in your university, facilities, stadiums, academics, campus life, everything. Just give me a budget. Let me decide where it goes. If I want to dump everything into my stadium and really work on getting that stadium pulse up, let me do it. Let me ignore everything else and let me watch everything else fall to the wayside. Now, if I want to balance it out, or maybe even I want to make Kent State the next Northwestern, Rice, Duke, I really want to invest in the academics, let me do that as well. Gameplay, there's a lot of things you could talk about with gameplay. First, to me, is the robo quarterback. We've all played the game where the CPU goes 22 for 23, 400 plus yards, and this guy is like a 74 overall on Ball State. You want to talk about killing immersion, that's how you do it. Low-rated quarterbacks should miss throws. Now, I'm not a coder, but maybe it should be a dice roll. You roll a 20, that throw is going to be over the guy's head. Ratings really should matter. Now, the run game. Speed, very important. We all know that. But right now, shifty just has to change. It is too overpowered and it's ruining leagues as you have running backs out there running for 10, 11, 12, 13 yards per carry on 150 plus carries because you can't keep up with them on defense. So either there needs to be a defensive counter to shifty or shifty itself just kind of has to go. And then also with the run game blocking, there's a reason that everybody runs inside zone because if you try to run anything where your guards pull, those guards could absolutely block the linebacker or they might just run out there 15, 20 yards by themselves and be looking crazy. And the last thing here I think everybody wants is let us export the draft classes over to Madden. I used to be a Madden player myself, but right now, since I can't export over, I just don't even really want to play it. I want to take my players that I won a Heisman with, I won the national championship, I want to draft them and continue their careers. And honestly, I think you could even connect online communities with that. Have college dynasties feeding Madden franchises. You could set it up where dynasties connect with franchises and they are the sole draft classes for those franchises. I think that could be a really cool way to connect the communities. I'm sure there's a way to figure this out. Get some lawyers in a room, figure out the licensing issues, or maybe just don't include any NIL players. But overall, that's my wish list for college football 27 and possibly in the future. Some really big changes, some smaller ones, but all focused on making Dynasty feel deeper, more immersive, and more connected. Let me know what you think. What would you add? What would you take out? And hopefully, we see at least some of this in the future versions of the games. All right, guys, ODB out.